You work hard, you earn a decent salary, and yet somehow by the end of the month there is very little left. You are not spending recklessly, you are not living beyond your means, and still the numbers just do not add up. Here is the uncomfortable truth that most people in Europe never talk about openly: the salary system across European countries is deliberately designed to look larger than what you actually take home, and the gap between your gross income and your real purchasing power is far wider than most people realize. Today, we are going to break down exactly why your salary in Europe feels like it is never enough and, more importantly, what you can do about it. Stay with me here because this is not just a complaint about taxes. This is a structural financial reality that affects millions of workers across Germany, France, the Netherlands, Spain, Italy, and nearly every other European country. Understanding this system is not optional if you want to build real financial stability. Because if you do not understand where your money goes before it even reaches your bank account, you will spend years wondering why you cannot seem to save, invest, or get ahead even when you are earning what appears to be a respectable income. In Europe, the average worker loses between 35 and 55% of their gross salary before they ever see a single euro. That means if your employment contract says you earn 4,000 euros per month, you may only receive between 1,800 and 2,600 euros in your bank account, depending on which country you live in. And that is just the beginning of the problem, because after taxes and social contributions are taken out, the cost of living in most European cities continues to rise, and wages have not kept pace with that inflation for well over a decade. This is the financial trap that millions of Europeans are living inside right now, and most of them have never been shown a clear map of how to escape it. When a European employer offers you a salary, the number on your contract is called the gross salary, and it includes contributions that go directly to the government before you ever touch it. Social security, pension contributions, unemployment insurance, and healthcare premiums are all deducted at the source, and in many countries, the employer also pays an additional social charge on top of your gross figure that you never see at all. The salary that arrives in your account, your net salary, is the only number that actually matters for your daily financial life, and the difference between these two figures is one of the first things every European worker must understand clearly. Europe funds some of the most comprehensive public services in the world: universal healthcare, subsidized education, robust public transport, and generous social safety nets, and all of that is financed primarily through income tax and social contributions paid by workers. Countries like Belgium, Germany, France, and Austria regularly rank among the top 10 highest tax nations on earth for middle-income earners. And while the services provided are genuinely valuable, the practical reality is that a significant portion of every euro you earn goes back to the state immediately. This is not inherently wrong, but if you have never sat down and calculated your true effective tax rate, you may be making financial plans based on a salary that does not exist in your actual account. Since 2010, housing costs in most major European cities have increased by between 50 and 120%, while median wages in the same cities have grown by only 15 to 30% over the same period. This means that the purchasing power of a European salary has been quietly shrinking for years, and workers who earned comfortably a decade ago are finding that the same nominal salary buys meaningfully less today. Rent, groceries, energy costs, and childcare have all accelerated faster than income, and this structural gap is one of the primary reasons that even well-paid professionals feel financially constrained. Once you factor in taxes, social contributions, rent, groceries, transportation, and utilities, the average European worker is left with a relatively narrow margin of discretionary income. The challenge is that modern life applies constant social and commercial pressure to spend that remaining income rather than saving or investing it. Subscription services, dining out, travel, new technology, and social spending all feel reasonable in isolation, but together they consume the financial margin that should be building your future wealth. Lifestyle inflation is the phenomenon where your spending rises automatically to match your income level, and it is one of the most powerful and least discussed forces working against long-term financial progress in European households. Every month, a portion of your salary is contributed to the state pension system, and in theory, this ensures that you will have income in retirement. However, pension systems across much of Europe are under serious structural pressure due to aging populations, declining birth rates, and increasing life expectancy. Several independent actuarial studies have projected that pension replacement rates, meaning the percentage of your final salary that your pension will actually pay, are likely to decline meaningfully over the next 20 to 30 years in countries including France, Italy, Spain, and Germany. This means that millions of workers are contributing a significant portion of every paycheck toward a retirement safety net that may deliver considerably less than they expect, making private savings and investment not a luxury but an urgent financial necessity. Even after navigating taxes, contributions, housing costs, and spending pressure, many European workers make the financially costly mistake of keeping their savings in a standard bank account earning near zero interest, when inflation is running at 3 to 5% annually as it has done across much of Europe in recent years. Money sitting in a savings account is losing real purchasing power every single day. This means that being cautious and simply holding cash is no longer a neutral financial decision. It is a slow and predictable loss of wealth that compounds quietly over time and is one of the most underappreciated threats to European financial security. Despite living in one of the most complex and heavily taxed financial environments in the world, the vast majority of European workers receive no formal education in personal finance, tax optimization, investing, or wealth building. Schools teach mathematics, languages, and sciences, but they do not teach children how payslips work, what an ETF is, how compound interest functions, or why starting to invest at 25 produces dramatically better results than starting at 35. This education gap means that most people enter the workforce completely unprepared. To navigate the financial system they are immediately subjected to, and they spend years, sometimes decades, making avoidable mistakes that cost them real, meaningful amounts of money. Let me show you what this looks like in practice with a simple example. Consider Maria, a 32-year-old marketing professional living in Frankfurt, Germany. Her employment contract states a gross salary of 52,000 euros per year, which sounds solid and respectable. After income tax, solidarity surcharge, health insurance, pension contribution, and unemployment insurance, her net monthly income is approximately 2,700 euros. Her one-bedroom apartment in a reasonable part of the city costs 1,150 euros per month in rent. After groceries, transport, utilities, and basic subscriptions, she has roughly 600 euros remaining at the end of each month. She keeps that 600 euros in a checking account earning 0.1% interest because she has never been shown an alternative. Over 10 years, that approach costs her an estimated 40,000 to 60,000 euros in potential investment returns, purely because of inaction rooted in a lack of financial knowledge. Now consider Daniel, a 29-year-old software developer in Amsterdam earning 58,000 euros gross. His net income after Dutch income tax and healthcare contribution is around 3,200 euros monthly. He has studied his payslip carefully, understood his marginal tax rate, and made the decision to maximize his employer pension contribution to reduce his taxable income. He invests 500 euros per month in a low-cost index fund. Over 20 years, even with conservative return assumptions, that investment habit is projected to produce a portfolio worth over 280,000 euros. Daniel earns a larger salary than Maria, but the primary difference in their financial trajectories is not income, it is financial awareness and systematic behavior. These two examples capture the core of this entire conversation. The salary is never the whole story. What you understand about your salary, your taxes, and your options is what actually determines your financial future. First, calculate your real net income immediately. Pull out your last 3 payslips, add up your actual take-home pay, and divide by your gross salary to find your effective net rate. This single exercise will give you more clarity about your true financial position than anything else you can do today. Second, build an honest monthly budget based only on your net income. Write down every fixed cost: rent, utilities, insurance, subscriptions, and subtract them from your net pay to understand exactly what discretionary margin you are actually working with each month. Third, investigate tax optimization tools available in your country. Depending on where you live in Europe, you may have access to tax-advantaged pension contributions, investment savings accounts, deductible professional expenses, or other legal mechanisms that reduce your taxable income. Many workers leave hundreds or even thousands of euros on the table annually simply because they have not researched what is available to them. Fourth, open an investment account and begin investing a fixed amount every single month, even if it is small. A broad, low-cost index fund, such as one tracking the MSCI World or the S&P 500, provides global diversification at minimal cost and has historically delivered average annual returns in the range of 7 to 10% over long periods. Starting with 100 euros per month is infinitely better than waiting until you can invest 1,000 euros per month, because time in the market is the most valuable financial asset you have. Fifth, stop keeping excess savings in a standard bank account. In a high inflation environment, every euro that sits idle in a zero interest account is losing real value. If you have an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses saved, which you should, everything beyond that should be working for you in a diversified investment vehicle. Sixth, commit to 1 hour per week of personal finance education. Read books like The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel or The Little Book of Common Sense. Investing by John Bogle. Follow credible financial educators. Build your financial literacy incrementally, because every concept you understand adds another tool to your ability to make better decisions. Here is what we have established today in plain, honest terms. Your salary in Europe is never enough, not because you are failing, but because the system was built around a series of deductions, structural pressures, and financial gaps that most people were never taught to see or navigate. The gross number on your contract belongs partly to the state. The net number in your account is competing against rising living costs. The money you keep is losing value if it sits still, and the pension system you are contributing to may not deliver the security it once promised. But here is what is equally true: none of this is unchangeable for you as an individual. Workers across Europe who understand these dynamics, who calculate their real income, who use tax-advantaged tools, who invest consistently in low-cost index funds, and who refuse to let lifestyle inflation consume their margin, are quietly building wealth inside the same system that leaves others perpetually stretched. The salary system was not designed to make you wealthy. It was designed to fund a society. Your job is to understand that reality clearly, work skillfully within the rules that exist, and build the financial layer that the system will never build for you automatically. If this video helped you see your financial situation more clearly, please subscribe to this channel because we publish content exactly like this every single week. Leave a comment below telling me which country you are in and what your biggest financial challenge is right now, and share this video with one person in your life who needs to hear this, because financial clarity is not a privilege, it is a skill, and it starts with exactly this kind of conversation.